Job 24:2. Why, seeing times are not hidden from the Almighty? Do they that know him not see his days? Some remove landmarks. They violently take away flocks and feed thereof. Kol halal Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Rikaha Kwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than never. The 144,000 and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathen nations that look like those heathen nations. This is not a black thing. And to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm coming at you with another lesson in history surrounding the facts that are in the Bible. And what you're looking at, well, yet again, is a map of Asia. This is my favorite map because it's showing you beyond a shadow of a doubt that Europe is an afterthought. Europe is a part and always has been a part of the continent of Asia. Just because they give it a different color on the map, make it yellow, it's the same continent. It's not a separate continent. All right. And that word Europe is not used in the Bible. They talk about Rome and Greece, but you never hear the word Europe because that's an afterthought that came along after the Renaissance when Esau Edom whitewashed and lied about history to fit his narrative, trying to separate things by color, saying that people in that area were light because they were so far from the equator and all that kind of that mess, which is a complete and total lie, because throughout Asia was nothing but dark people, many of them just as dark as so-called Africans. All right, they're Indians in India today, all right, still to this day. And some parts of Asia, other parts of Eastern Asia, that are just as dark as the people east in Asia next to Africa. Africa, Asia connects. Okay? The so-called Middle East, which is Western Asia, is what connects, and you're looking at it, connects to Africa. Middle East is a term that was created in the 1800s, once again, to fit a narrative, a whitewashed, controlled narrative. So we're going to focus on, matter of fact, let me read another scripture. This is Psalms 49:11. And it reads, their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. So they remove and change landmarks, and then they change the names after that suits themselves. All right, after they took over the land of Greece and took over Europe, the Edomites, that is what I'm speaking of. So what I'm going to read from right now is the Webster's Thesaurus. I should have put it up on the screen. Forgot to, but this is a Webster's Thesaurus, 1933. This is such an old book. The lettering is faded on the side. I don't know if you can see it. I guess you can if I put it. The Roget's Thesaurus, dictionary form. All right. It's a very old book. This is from 1933. I'll show. Copyright 1931. Actually, this one's from, I stand corrected. This one's actually from 1959. I wish I did have the 1931 one. All right. But the first one was in 1931. So they were able to go in and make changes. As, you know, as Jake started going to school, they started trying to change the books. You know, they start trying to change information. It's just like they changed the definition of wool. All right. If you look up the definition of wool in any dictionary prior to 1970s, it's pretty much going to tell you that that's referring to people with dark skin and the hair like Negroes. And they had to change that because people were connecting that to Revelation and the description of the Lord. All right, the description of the Judeans. They didn't like that, so they had to change that. That's what they call a revision. A revision is basically a lie. They do the same thing in law. They go in and they revise and make amendments. All right, especially when the people actually starts using the law for themselves. And speaking of law, the laws in America has pretty much been done away with. All right, as I speak, the ports are on strike. The chaos is following. All right, September 22nd of 2024, America was given into the hands, the American sovereignty was given into the hands of the WHO, the WEF, which is, and the United Nations. There are no more sovereign Americans anymore. You cannot go to court and think that you can use the law of the land, the Constitution to defend you. They were already violating it anyway. All right. And as you know, with many of things, driver's licenses, different licenses, many of the things that they do when it comes to owning firearms, the right to defend yourself and own them, even a so-called felon is still able to. You can infringe on that right to have a firearm in their dwelling place. They may not be able to carry it or walk around with it, get a concealed carry license, but they can. Everyone has the right to defend their household, their homestead, and so they violate the law of the land, all right, to fit their own agendas. And they've already been doing it, but now no one has the covering of the law. So, yeah, so it's about to get crazy. But nevertheless, to stay on track on this lesson, I want to look up the word stock instead, because we're going to talk about Alexander of Macedonia, which came out of Eastern Asia, which they now call, from Macedonia, which they now call Eurasia or Europe. And you notice they do say Eurasia, and you can see the map. All right. I'll put the pointer on it. Let's make the map bigger. Okay. Right there is Macedonia. Bulgaria is right next to it, but that's Macedonia. So Alexander continued in his stead, in his stock. All right, in his stead. And I'm going to prove the connection that when you're standing up in your stead, you're standing up in your family line for your heritage, for your family. Okay? But let's read this definition of stock from the Webster's thesaurus, Roger's thesaurus. It says, and I'll put it in the camera too. And right here, species, breed, race, clan, tribe, class, relative, mankind. All right. Let's put that in the camera. Okay. For stock. You see the underlying words: species, breed, race, clan, tribe, class, relative, mankind. So we're going to read when Alexander of Macedon, who they call Alexander the Great, took over Eurasia, or the East in Asia, the northeastern portion of Salakia, the northeastern portion, northwestern, I keep saying eastern, the northwestern portion of Asia. All right, because the Bible mentions Greece, it mentions Rome, it mentions all these different places, but it doesn't mention Europe, because Europe is an afterthought. It was a creation to support white superiority, the fraud that came with the Renaissance. All right. So, matter of fact, before we go there, let's go to Etymon online for stead. All right. And here's the evidence. All these words are from the word stead. All right, and it says, let's go down to homestead now, because these are all the words that are related to it. Own English, home, town, village, home, a lot. All right, when you're in your lot, you're in your family line. You're in your position, so to speak. A land adequate for maintenance of family by the Homestead Act, 1862. See, 160 acres. See, remember the Homestead Act? They gave all the Edomites land here in America, stolen land. All right. So it's the same thing and that's what Alexander did in his stead. They took over all the land. But it was prophecy because Edom had to raise up. The scripture, he was promised through that by the sword he shall live. So Alexander fulfilled that prophecy. The Edomites were the lowest. They're the bases of men. It tells you that in Daniel. Let's read it. And the bases, the lowest of men, had to be set up in a position of power over the world, which is a slap in the face of the Israelites and everyone else. That you have this low base, pale, can't go in the sun, weak individual, weak sperm, and everything else is actually ruling over everyone else and have made them become a hunk. All of a sudden, he's desired. Okay? The Lord really jacked the Israelites up, and it says, Daniel 4:17, this matters by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones to intend that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of man and given it to whomsoever he will and set up over it the basis of men. He took the basis, the lowest of men, the lowest on the totem pole, and made them the rulers of the earth, and they got it now to this day. And now it's being taken from them. That's why America's collapsing. That's why the calamities and the floods and the destruction, the fires, the storms, right? That storm right now, they hit and destroyed six different states, and most of the places that it destroys were strongholds of where Edomites live. Even many of them were the racist sundown towns. So all the stolen land, I've been telling you for many years that Manifest Destiny has a part 2. They did not read or pay attention to the fine print. And part 2 of Manifest Destiny is starting to kick in. And a lot of Edomites know it. All right. So, yeah, Middle English, steadfast. Of persons, unshakable, stomach, resolute, firm, fixed in purpose, faith, secure position, steady, firm in its place from a stead position. All right. So all this was related to stead. All right. Which is connected to a family, the maintenance of a family. All right. And its lands. And Alexander of Macedon stood up in the stead of his father and finished what his father tried to do by taking over all of Asia. Okay? He got all of Asia, including the portion that they call Europe today. Eurasia. Okay? So let's go to Maccabees. First Maccabees, because I've been reading the Maccabees up and down. I just finished Second Maccabees. Now I'm back in First Maccabees, which is what inspired me to do this lesson. And this is First Maccabees 1:1. It says, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of Kittim, had smitten Darius, the king of the Persia and Medes. We're going to go into that. All right, because the Israelites were scattered to that. And those were the people that were scattered abroad. I mean, the Israelites in Acts, the 2nd chapter, were scattered throughout Western Asia, Southwestern Asia. All right, Northwestern Asia is the portion that they call Europe. Southwestern Asia is the portion that they now call the Middle East. All right, and the Israelites were scattered throughout both, mostly in Western Asia. All right, and all throughout the Eastern Asia as well. Pakistan, India, China, Mongolia, Russia. They were all through there. The Israelites, as far as away as your feet is Japan. All right, Remember, Isaiah 16:4 says that he made Moab a covert to Judah. He hid Judites, so-called black men, among the Chinese. All right. And those of them who are still there to this day, going back to that ancient time, what do they look like today? Duh, this is not a black thing, but that seed line of Israel is still there. The seed. Get it? The seed. The womb of a woman does not determine your race or your nationality. Your heritage cannot be traced through your mom. Your heritage is traced through the seed line of your father. All right? There's no such thing as mixed. That's just an outwardly thing. All right? You can't mix a seed. You know, they'll say that, but you can't. It's just, that's lack of understanding. All right? The seed can't, two men can't get the same woman pregnant in a gangbang. Running a train. Only one of them is going to get her pregnant. All right? Now, off subject but on subject, the messed up thing about it is that the one who's been putting the most seed in her all the time, all right, the children or the child may still come out looking like that man, even though the other man got her pregnant. Why? Because his DNA is attached to hers. That's why a woman's supposed to be with one man. Back to the subject matter now. First Maccabees 1 and 2. It's 1 and 1. And it happened after Alexander, the son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of Kittim, had smitten Darius, the king of the Persian Medes, and reigned in his stead, in his family name, the first over Greece. All right, so these and then it says, and he made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. So he went throughout Asia, Eurasia, Western Asia, even into North Africa, slaying and controlling, which is why the people who live in this whole area, let's click now to a map of ancient Persian Middle East. Well, everyone who lives in this area, for the most part, got lightened up. All right. And these are the areas where, for the majority of the areas, when you read Acts, the 2nd chapter, that they were coming from. All right. And that, what you're looking at is basically this portion of this map. You're looking at this portion right here, where you see the Black and the Caspian Sea. All right, Mesopotamia, Iran, Persian Medes area. Cappadocia was up here in Turkey, right, connecting to Eurasia, which is still Asia. All right, so this whole area, Pakistan, India, that's where they were all coming from. And when they said in Asia, that meant that included all the rest over here, because we're going to read that. Okay, so let's go back to Acts, to the book of Acts now. 2 and 9. And let's pull that map up. All right, let's put it on there. Those are all those places. And most of this research came out of the Young's Bible Dictionary. Because and when you look up all these places that I'm about to read, it sends you to the it says C Geology Holy Land, and it starts on wow, I just read something that I talked about in the lesson the other day. It starts on page 225. It's probably the longest subject matter, and goes all the way to page 236. So it's 10 pages of geology of the Holy Land. And these are all the places when you read in the Bible where all the battles and the wars, for the most part, was taking part were from Joshua, from the Israelites, Gideon, Joshua, all the way up to the Maccabees. All right. But this is Acts 2:9. It says, matter of fact, I started at verse 5 just to get more context. And this was on the day of Pentecost, by the way. And it reads, and there were dwelling at Jerusalem Judeans, devout men out of every nation under heaven. All right. And now when under heaven, and now that was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because every man heard them speak in his own language, because that came from all these places. But the Holy Spirit allowed them to hear the different languages in their own language. See, this was a beautiful miracle. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying to one another, behold, are not all these which speak Galileans? And so to the people who didn't have the Holy Spirit, this was just a bunch of confusion to them. And how we hear every man in their own tongue wherein we were born. Parthians and Medes and Elamites and dwellers of Mesopotamia, and Judea, and the Cappadocia and Pontus, and Asia, Phrygia, Pamphylia, and Egypt, and the parts of Libya and Cyrene, strangers of Rome, Judeans and proselytes. I don't like to say that other J word, because remember, that's a hijack. They replace that J-ish word for Israelite and try to make them the same, but they're not. Right? The J-ish are Israelite are not Israelites. J-ish are Edomite converts who first converted the first time under John Hyrcanus, great nephew of Judas Maccabee, son of Simon Maccabee. All right. That's who John Hyrcanus was, and after he defeated some Edomites, he forced them to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. And then later on, they brought in the custom. They brought in their own customs. One of the customs is wearing a hat. Israelites didn't cover the crown of their head, and well, there you go. All right. So understanding and knowing history is important to get a greater understanding when it comes to the Bible. All right. And then it also said, when we read Acts, the 9th chapter, it also spoke about Rome. And it also spoke about Libya and Cyrene. All right. And those places are not, those places are and Egypt. So we're talking about Africa and Eurasia. They were coming from everywhere. Okay. Matter of fact, let's go back to the map. Here we go. Let's go back to it. Hold on, let me close this. Cutting the neighbor's grass, but it says in Libya. Libya is over here in Africa. So Israelites were coming from close that again. I didn't close it, so there you go. Glare was coming in. All right. So yeah, Libya is over there in Egypt. Libya, that's in Africa. All right. So they were coming from all of this region. And as you can see, beyond a shadow of a doubt, this is a map of Asia. And it's showing you, telling you that Europe, all right, that's why they refer to it as Eurasia, is a part of Asia. All right, it always has been. And so Esau, Edom, carved up, divided landmarks, and tried to say that, that's like saying that your right arm isn't a part of your body. That's basically what they've tried to do. They've tried to separate a body. All right, because there's very small points to separate Asia from Africa. All right, way over here in Spain at Gibraltar. All right, that was the Rock of Gibraltar right there. And then right over here is you can walk from Africa right into to Jerusalem. You can walk from Egypt to Jerusalem. I believe it's about a 3-day walk. If you're on foot, 3 days. So you get on a camel and a horse and just start walking within 3 days. After you camp one day, you eat. You keep moving. The next day, that night, you camp. You wake up, you eat, and then on the third day, you walk into Egypt. That's how close they are. No boats needed. No planes needed. You could drive. All right. Now there is water. I know it looks real small on the map here when you're looking at over here at Spain. Way over here, you can see the little plus, the microscope, the magnifying glass symbol there. Right there at there's water there, because you would come in through there through the sea and then come into down into the Mediterranean and so forth and so forth. All right, but I think the point has been proven. The evidence has been presented, and I've been wanting to do that lesson and read about Acts, the 2nd chapter, and the scattering of the Israelites among all people. All right. And then that was the ancient world, pretty much. As far as they knew it, no one was really coming too far down here at the time, where these other Hamites were. And then they, is in the biblical time, there's not records about it. We know that people were down there, Hamites were down there, but there's not, it's not records about it. And then most of the Hamites that were in the Hamites territory, Canaan was all the way. The son of Ham, the Hamites, Ham's son Canaan was all here throughout, all the way up into ancient Babylon. The Hamites were all up in here. That's who the Israelites took the land from. They took it from Hamitic Hamites, as what you would call Africans today. They didn't take it from Middle Easterners. That's some shit they made up, just like they made up white in 1681 in Virginia. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kodash, Kwam, Yasharala, Abad, Babal.